Hi, I am Jill Brotman with App Properties. Thank you so much for joining me today. Today I am visiting with Amy Corr. Amy is the EVP of Culture and Agent Development at App Properties. Amy is part of a very talented team who makes sure that we, as agents, are staying on point and guiding us through these uncharted waters. I'd like to share with you today how I've progressed through this pause in time. First, I was like everybody else who felt like we were kind of living in a twilight zone. I just really couldn't believe what was happening, what I was hearing, lots of information being thrown at us in various forms online, on TV, lots of changing numbers and opinions and pictures out of Italy that were terrifying. And then suddenly we were, converting McCormick Place to a giant hospital. And it really felt unsettling, to say the least. This health scare is huge and real. And I feel that the best way to get through this is through education, and precaution is really key. My own mom, who many of you know is positive for COVID, and so far so good. She is asymptomatic. I decided early on I was going to focus on two words that I have used throughout my life: adaptability and resilience. I've had to adapt in many situations, and I've had to be very resilient most of my life. I thought about how this might affect my profession, and I knew that I had homes for sale and wanted to protect my clients' health and not bring people into their homes. Stop doing open houses for that reason. You didn't know if somebody might be carrying the virus and be asymptomatic, and I didn't want to take a chance of bringing germs into my clients' homes. And that's when the wheels started turning, and I started thinking about how I was going to make my approach to this. I was also working with buyers who needed homes quickly. So I developed a plan. I drilled down on what was available on the market. We toured vacant homes personally with masks and hand sanitizer, etc. Or we asked sellers to jump on a FaceTime call and tour us through their homes, which was a unique opportunity for buyers to be able to talk to sellers one-on-one as they toured their homes. And it really worked. I've actually sold homes on FaceTime to people out of state or out of the country in the past. So I just kind of pulled on those tools from the past and applied them to today. Fast forward, my buyers found beautiful homes to buy, and they are just waiting on their closing and collecting their keys. I do hope that more homes will be coming on the market. We really do need more homes. We need a greater inventory. There are so many buyers that are building up pressure in the bullpen and just waiting for a greater inventory to choose from. My feeling is, be a leader and get your house on the market. We'll do what we need to do to get you ready and keep you safe. So Amy, I would like to ask you to please explain to our viewers, why are real estate agents and why is this industry deemed essential?
Hey, Jill, first of all, thanks for having me on. It's great to see you. It's a great question, and not every state has deemed real estate an essential service, but lucky for us, and I think really lucky for consumers and people out there, the governor in Illinois did deem us as an essential service. And, I think it is really important because when COVID-19 hit us, there are a lot of people who are mid-transaction, who are actually in the process of looking to sell their home or buy. And when we think about it being an essential service, everyone needs a place to live. And, some people were in the midst of things in relation to a job move or a move related to family. And so, us having the ability to be able to continue servicing our clients, I think is really important and very key. Now, that being said, we've had to really be the two things you've pointed out, which is adaptable and resilient. We've really had to adapt to a new norm to make sure that when we are offering this service, we are doing it carefully and we are keeping everybody's safety in mind. So if there are things that we have to do, which, are still proper social distancing, but have to be, in person with individuals, we're wearing masks, we're wearing gloves. But what I think this has really shown so many of us as brokers is how much we can use technology to be able to move the transaction forward. And that's everything from having a buyer take a look at a home virtually before actually, going to visit. And I think it's creating some efficiencies as well, because why not rule something out online prior to actually physically going to see it? I think what we are all recognizing, us as real estate brokers, but the consumer as well, is that there is a lot that we can really do to aid our jobs and what we do in using and embracing technology. So I think it's been a little bit of a game changer for us as an industry. And I think coming out of this, there are going to be a lot of efficiencies and a lot of great things that we've learned and have gained from this time. But, ultimately, we're still able to move forward as an essential business, and we are doing everything we can to be safe and make sure that we are getting people where they need to be.
Yeah, actually, another thing that I thought of, out of necessity, we think of what we have to do. And one of the things that I did when I was working with one of my buyers is suggested to them that they drive all of the homes that they were interested in seeing. They drive around, they take these suburbs and divide them into grids. They sent me 23 properties that they were interested in. And the amount of time that it would have taken all of us to go to all 23 properties and see what it was that they liked or didn't like was not going to be the best use of our time, especially in this climate. So I suggested to them that they break down the suburbs into grids, drive through the neighborhoods, see where the closest park is, see where the closest school is, see if the neighborhood and the community feels like something that they can look at, like, oh, this does really feel like me. I can see myself living here. I like the way the neighborhood feels. I like what I see. It actually went from 23 to 3. They put in like 10 hours of drive time, and they actually thanked me for that suggestion. And that's actually something that I haven't done in the past, and I will be doing going forward. It was really a much better use of all of our time. It taught them so much about what was important to them, and it streamlined our communication. So that was great.
That's great. See, like I said, I think we're learning so much, and we're learning about efficiencies and just better ways of doing things. You have to look at the bright side of what we're really going through right now. And I think there's going to be a lot of great things that do come out of this.
Absolutely. Amy, what do you see happening in the Chicago market and suburbs?
That's a good question. I actually feel like there's a lot going on. I think that there is a little bit of a misconception that our markets have stopped, and that COVID-19 has sort of put a halt on real estate, in general. I do think that there are people who, given health situations, their own concerns, maybe their own family situations, have had to, put their, real estate plans on hold. There's definitely a percentage of those individuals who are in the marketplace, but there are also a lot of people that still need to do something. There, as I had said earlier, there's family situations, running out of room in a condo in the city, or, a job move that is, making it a need to actually buy or sell something. And so we're actually seeing a lot of stuff going on. We're also seeing kind of an interesting phenomenon, I think, in the city right now, as we're all sheltering in place. It depends on how big your place is how comfortable you are. And we've got, I think, just stories we're hearing about people who are living in the city in great condo buildings with wonderful amenities. But right now, if you're in a 900 square foot, 1 bedroom, but you can't really benefit or use any of the amenities in your building, it sort of changes the feel and the desirability of sort of why you're there. So I think we are hearing a little bit of a mind shift of what is home and what is important to me, and what is it that I'm looking for in the event that, let's face it, maybe in another 4 or 5 months, we might be sheltering in place again. So I think that there is a little bit of a mind shift as far as what home is and what people are looking for. And I think that's going to cause, a bit of a ripple into our real estate market, both in seeing some movement in the city. And I think that movement from the city, whether it's, single individuals, but more importantly, there's probably a lot of young families or young couples who maybe just got married who would have maybe stuck it out in the city longer. Because let's face it, the city, especially in the summertime when it's, beautiful out, is a great place to live. But I think what they're recognizing is if they want to make their destination one of our suburban markets anyway, I think they are just fast tracking that a little bit and deciding why not make the move sooner rather than later. I think this is giving them a lot of time to reflect on what they're really looking for. So I do think that once we open back up, we're going to see a nice pickup in our markets, but we are going to see some momentum coming out of the city and into the suburbs. And I think people are going to be buying maybe sooner than they had expected, outside of the city.
Absolutely. I know I've recently talked to a couple of people that are in the industry of creating home office space. And somebody I'm going to be interviewing next week is actually manufacturing the drums that you see in larger spaces, restaurants, where they have those drums hanging from the ceiling that absorb the sound. This company is actually now manufacturing those for in-home officing so that it's more quiet. People can conduct their business out of the home. I mean, it's really changing a lot for people, and home is taking on a whole new meaning, especially if you were never particularly a homebody and now all of a sudden you are. It's really making you take a closer look at your home and what you might want to do to either change it or look for a new home ultimately.
Well, for sure. I mean, if you can see me now, I'm hunkered down in my kitchen, and it's because I am, the head of everything. I make lunch. I'm also doing work. I help with e-learning. So I'm kind of in the epicenter of my house right now. But in the mornings, we all get up. There's 4 of us. I have 2 daughters and a husband who's working from home, and we all sort of, find our territory or our spot for the day. So I think it is making all of us look at it. You kind of have to laugh, because sometimes if you don't laugh, you may want to cry. But, it's sort of the new norm. But I agree with you. I think people are going to really be looking at home offices, just home in general, and, livability in the space itself. So I think this might even evolve into people who would maybe have not considered making a change moving to a different home. It might spur that, and we might see some people who decide, I want something a little bit different.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Lastly, I wanted to ask you about the article that Thad and Mike, the owners of Ad Properties, were interviewed for, featured on the cover of Crane's Chicago Business. And I was speaking with you earlier about your thoughts of being number one in terms of real estate company versus having, the focus be on really creating agents that are number one. Talk about that with me.
Yeah, so I think the article is really exciting because I think, Mike and Thad opened up Ad Properties in 2000. And, it was 2 gentlemen sitting around a coffee table with a few other people figuring out what does this look like and how are we going to move forward. And, it's really exciting because we've evolved into just such an amazing organization that has really, I think, transformed and is always looking to adapt with how our industry is changing. And I think, being the biggest, being number one, there are certainly benefits that come with that because there's a certain clout. I think it helps our agents being able to go into listing presentations and say that they are affiliated with the number one brokerage firm. It means that we're doing more transactions. We have a great pulse on the market. We're seeing what is happening and what is shifting. And that's all extremely important for our brokers. But I think what we're probably more proud of, or what we choose to really focus on, is not necessarily being the biggest, but are we the best? And when we look at being the best, it's really sort of a 2-pronged approach or look. We want to be the best in what are we offering the consumer as far as a real estate experience goes, and are we giving them, the best, technology, just the best availability out there. But that then really comes into that second component, and that is, who are the real estate brokers that we are helping to develop. because, you know, they are really the relationship that is connected to the consumer. And so our focus is what technology, you know, technology is key right now, and real estate has been really slow to adapt in comparison to other industries. But we've really been focusing on what technology can we develop to make our agents the most effective, the most efficient, and also it allows them to do their job well so they can focus on the relationship component of our business, which is so critical. So we have Platform, which is a technology suite that we have built in-house and are continuing to evolve. You know, it has a CRM, it's got, you know, different components or things that agents can use to develop their business, which we think is so critical. You know, the other component that we really focus on, though, is coaching, you know, and agent development, how to, you know, my earlier point, how to develop the best in class real estate brokers out there that are most in tune with what's really happening in the market so that they can turn around and be the best trusted advisors to their clients and to the consumer. You know, real estate is one of the biggest assets everybody owns, and they want to and need to work with somebody that really understands what that looks like, and so that they can help counsel them and make sure that they're making a really smart investment. So, you know, again, being number one is great, but I think, you know, as we trudge on and move forward, and, you know, we've been talking about a lot of exciting things right now. You know, one of the benefits, I think, of this period in time is it has allowed us as a company to take a step back and think about what are we going to be doing once we get out of here to be even more effective and impactful. And, you know, that's what we're looking at, is how do we continue to improve so that the consumer benefits, and for us, how do our agents benefit?
With that, Amy, thank you so much for joining me. I know that you are extremely busy. The first round of this, apparently I forgot to hit record, so we had to do it again. And thanks for being such a great sport. It's great to see your smiling face. I miss you. And thank you for all of your valuable information. It's a gorgeous sunny day. Spring has sprung. The trees are blooming, the tulips are up in my neighborhood, and I am definitely hoping to get out there and get some fresh air, take a really nice walk with my dog today. And thank you so much for your time, and have an awesome weekend.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me, and you guys all have a great weekend.
Okay.
Take care.
Thank you so much, Amy.